Okay, everyone, I think we'll get going with this 3 o'clock concurrent session. This one is going to be about grazing land economics. I'm Ben LaFelt from Montana. I'll be your moderator today, and we've got 3 great sets of speakers for this one. The first one is Vern Terrell, and his title is 10 Ways We Dare to Be Different. Vern comes from a diversified farm and ranch operated with his wife, Mary Jean's son, and Brock, and his wife, Heidi. Terrell Ranch runs a cow herd to produce a terminal cross calves, along with a band of ewes to help better utilize our range. Terrell Farms grows corn, seed, wheat, edible beans, along with forage crops. They also have a small feedlot where they prepare calves for finishing. Vern attended the University of Nebraska and is a graduate of the Nebraska LEAD program. He has been active in many local county and state organizations, currently involved with Nebraska Grazing Lands Coalition, Ag Builders of Nebraska, along with serving on the advisory board at the UNL Panhandle Research Station in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. Let's give a hand for Vern.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. You know, I tell our minister that a good talk has a good beginning and a good end. Keep them close together. Well, that was my plans, but Ben says I got a time frame I got to fill, so you get the second version. So, no clicker, just okay. Okay. Well. He sort of told you about our operation, and I'm going to find this.
So if you just do that,
okay.
Or we go back and forth.
All right, we got her. We're in the very western edge of the Nebraska Sandhills, which is very fragile ground. We get less rainfall than the eastern sandhills in Nebraska. For every 50 miles you move east, you get another inch of rainfall, basically. So our average rainfall is 13 or 14 inches. So we have to learn how to handle our land, take care of it. Our operation does not own any land ourselves. We rent from 11 different landlords. Some of them are ourselves or our family, but economically we can rent that land for about 1/3 of what it takes to buy it at this economical time, I guess. If we'd have bought it when I started, it would have been good to own it. But it's allowed us to run a bigger operation, so the economics is there for us to lease. Our Nebraska is a very high property tax state. Our rent is about pays the real estate tax is about 1/3 of what we pay for rent. So it doesn't leave much for the landlord. We're hoping to change that, but we're in a unicameral. We're proud of years to be the only unicameral in the United States, and now the rural areas, we have no clout. So we're working every angle we can to try to help us there. But that's another issue in itself. So this is what our Sandhills rangeland sort of looks like. We do run a terminal herd, and best we can. We'll get into that later. One of our philosophies, even though it's leased, we invest a lot of our own money into our leased ground. For numerous reasons. One, it's surprising how fast the payback is. If you're willing to put a pipeline or a tank. We've got submersible pumps on the bottom of all our windmills, but it lets us find those spots where that pasture has never been utilized very well. And and just within a year, we're doing a better job managing that pasture, and the return is very good. And then it tells your landlords that, you know, we're in this for the long term, and we have not ever been disappointed we did it. Nobody's ever burned us by saying, hey, that's a good idea, I think I'll just run the place now. That has not been the case. We buy all our replacement cows. When I was younger, genetics was my thing. I thought, boy, this is fun. But I just didn't let other people worry about the genetics now. We'll buy the cows. We don't breed heifers. That's just another herd for us to manage. And it lets us run more cows by not having a herd of heifers around. So we've sort of replaced that heifer system. We buy a lot of older cows. We have a standing order with a buyer, and he watches the market close. You know, if there's a down cycle, he'll send us a couple loads of cows. So a lot of it is on him, but that's let us economically compete. Although the last few years we've been able to young those cows up. Part of the reason we started with the old cows is after the 2012 drought, we'd cut our numbers down, and that was an inexpensive way to add cows to our herd and get enough cows. So, and we sort of liked it. The cold cow thing was working pretty good for us till this year. You know, that's been a killer for us. And then we terminally cross. We use Charolais bulls. We don't have to worry about, you know, raising a maternal animal, although I think in a lot of cases our Charolais cross females in our system might work as good as a lot of the other breeds. They're very moderate Charolais that we use. We have a long calving season now. We pasture calve everything. We start May 15th. We'll leave the bulls in for about 150 days. In the Sand Hills of Nebraska, 45 or 60 day period is sort of the norm. We've got a philosophy. We want to get as many calves as we can out of those cows. So we'll start May 15th. All the cows will be in one herd. We will calve for 3 weeks. That is our number one herd for the summer, that management herd. Then we'll have our summer calvers that will be till the middle of July, and that'll be our second herd, and it's about half the size of our first herd. And then everything after that is called our fall calvers. Now at the end, when we do the second cut, we will sort any dries off, any cows that just aren't going to make it through, and they're marketed directly to a packer. They're fat, grass fat, so we try to beat that cold cow slump in the fall by doing it. We started weaning early in 2012 because of the drought. We just had to get those cows off the cows and get any cows that weren't holding up gone. So we weaned them in about 90 to 120 days that year and got along phenomenal. Didn't hardly doctor a calf. Those calves didn't miss their moms. They didn't stand there and bawl. They just walked away, went on feed. So we've continued to early wean. One of the reasons is that it allows us to run some more cows. We don't have that calf there. We're still feeding that calf, but it's at a different resource. So we've got extra grass, so it allows us to run a few more cows. The health has been phenomenal. We hardly touch a calf, and then it lets us market a weaned calf, which we normally do in about November. those calves, to me, I think it's fair to those calves to leave the place as a weaned calf, less stress. You know, we're asking a lot of a little calf to take him off like his mom one day, send him either through a cell barn or down the road on a truck and to a whole different environment, and missing his mom. So we're trying to avoid a couple of those steps by weaning. Are we getting paid? That's questionable. You know, they do bring more than the calves right off the cows, but is it enough? I don't know, but I feel better about it for the calf's sake. So. We also precondition about 90 days, so they're pretty small calves when we run them through and precondition them. But had no issues, and like I said, our health has been the best we've ever had, knock on wood, so we're staying with that program. We use new bulls every year. We buy our bulls from one producer, and he works with us very well on this. And we buy those bulls. We will get them possession 1st of May. We normally start breeding about the 15th of August, and we'll use those bulls for about, well, the young bull's about 120 days. They're polled, they're trick tested, they're fertility tested, and we've got a source in South Texas that we ship those bulls to, and he buys them from us. Most years we get the same price we paid pretty much. It depends if the market swings too much, we may have to give up a few $100s, but we figure we've got our cost per cow down somewhere between $15 to $20 per pregnancy. So that's a real competitive advantage we have. We keep just a handful of older bulls around to run with our fall cows, or we'll run 1 or 2 bulls in with each group to make them fall calvers, because we need to get those younger bulls to South Texas. This project started in 2013, sort of by accident. We had some down corn on our farm ground, and this particular individual he was drought out. He was from Colorado that had these ewes, and long story short, before he could come get them, he passed away, and his widow didn't want anything to do with him, so we made an offer, and we ended up with a flock of ewes. And it's been a real blessing. You know, general rule is you can run a ewe for every cow and take no more forage. Whether that's 100% accurate, I don't know. You know, we don't have a lot of forbs and such like some people do, but they're still there. And if they take a bite of grass, it's just a nip. You know, they aren't taking a lot of leaf area. They aren't like a cow that takes a half of it in one bite. So anyway, by running these ewes, we're figuring we could run somewhere about 240 cow equivalent without really taking any more forage. So that's one way we're trying to add value to our place, is utilizing these ewes. So it's been good. The wool price has really gone up the last 2 or 3 years. The lamb price has dropped, but we're still dollaring out pretty good. Peruvian herders take care of them. We range the lamb. Our goal is 115% lamb crop. We hit that some this year. We didn't beat 100% too much. A little bit weather, predator issues, coyotes is our main problem. And the first few years we had mange, and we didn't have much of a coyote population. Well, all of a sudden we've got coyotes. And we have one creek that's about 1.5 miles long. They harvested 30 coyotes in the winter, last winter. So we've got a lot of coyotes, and that's just one area. So, well, we always have sheep. You know, that's to be determined, but at this point, it's a nice part of our enterprise. we're right on the Niobrara River, and on the south side of the river is the Nebraska Sandhills. On the north side, we actually set an irrigation project. So we have some row crops, but we're trying to turn some of that into forage production just because of the price of commodities and soil health. And this is our irrigated grass mix. We've got, there's 6 different legumes and 5 different grasses. We're still, we've ran 2 summers and we're still trying to learn how to manage it. We have had some bloat issues because of legumes. Mostly it was weather events that you have to watch and get those cattle out of there. Heavy rain where they don't graze properly that day, and the next day they overload. This fall we had an issue with the frost. They were still out there when we got a light frost, and so it's a high managed thing. We use sort of Jim Garish's type of fencing and water system, and then we use polywire and a daily move. We get a lot of production. Both years we've ended up haying some of that off just because we've got behind on it. And we do have native grass close that if we have to do some different management things, we can get them off quick. And I cannot tell you how many AUMs we get an acre because it varies so much, because we'll run this group of cows on it for a while till the next management move, and then we'll have a different number of cows on it. So we get a lot of production, but I can't give you a figure. So. We also use cover crops on our irrigated. We try to keep the ground covered as much as we can with some kind of cover crop. The economics of it is pretty iffy, but it's one of those long-term investments. You're trying to help that ground long-term. There's no quick payback on it. Our growing season's so short that we can't get a lot of production. We don't buy hay for our cow herd. We normally don't put much hay up, although our feedlot situation now, that's normally any hay that we put up goes to a feedlot. But we buy all our hay that we need for our cow herd, and hopefully that's not much. Normally we try to graze it out between corn stalks and winter range. Our goal is to bring those nutrients back on the place from somebody else grow it, and we'll bring those nutrients in, and if they don't eat it, it goes back in the ground. We take advantage of it that way. Besides the labor and such it takes to put it up, well, we're pretty short of labor that time of year. So it's worked good just to buy hay, and it's usually been real affordable in our area. Right now it's creeped up a little bit, but that's okay. The last few years, we've started a custom grow yard. Our youngest son's a veterinarian, and he's a feedlot consultant, and he's got a lot of contact with people that these cattle coming out of South Dakota, Montana, Wyoming. We're a stop-off place for them. We'll keep those calves from 45 days to 4 or 5 months and get them started, get them weaned. It allowed us to add value to our cropping system, gives us a winter paycheck. And I've thoroughly enjoyed getting it out there every day again. It's been a good enterprise, just another way to maybe add a little value to our place. Well, thank you very much. I tried to give this talk to the grandsons, but it didn't go real well. So. Questions? Yes, sir.
On your young weaning program, 150 days or something like that.
Right.
Use a gentle weaning process, and then how do you have lean enough or high quality enough feed for it at that time?
Yes, it'll usually just across the fence, weaning. those calves walk away from those cows so fast that it's really low stress on the calves. It's a little higher stress on the moms, but and a lot of times if we have cover crops available, we'll go to that, or we have hauled feed to them, but that's only been once or twice. But and we've got these grow lots. We can bring them to the grow lots if we need to, but normally we've gone to a cover crop on them. Yes.
Have you ever taken your sheep in behind your cattle under cover crop, or do they eat it too low to herd it under irrigated stuff?
Well, thanks for asking that. The irrigated pasture, actually, we leave a regrowth on that for our sheep during we breed in December, and we've got that regrowth alfalfa and or legumes. So that's a great flushing ability that we have. So, but no, that's only crop that we follow. They will run on corn stalks a little bit. Actually, our herder moves them back and forth between that and corn stalks. But our cows pretty much harvest our cover crops. So.
Any other questions? Let's give Vern a hand.
Thank you.